Welcome everybody. My name is Rajnikant Patel. I'm the retired executive and author of children's books. I'll be the moderator today. Our format will be the speaker will introduce the topic for 15 minutes. I will have question and answer for 10 minutes, and then we'll open up to the audience. Let me first introduce our today's speaker, holistic scientist and expert, Deepakanandji. He has a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. He has several years of experience in engineering industry. From the very childhood, he had inclination to be a celebrate and was in search of answer to the puzzles of the everyday life. His answers were obtained when he received self-realization through the grace of the self-realized holistic scientist Sri A.M. Patel in 1983. Since then, he has pursued his dream to selflessly work to spread the message of holistic inner science and his life-living experience to uplift the entire mankind. He left the job as soon as he met Mr. A.M. Patel. He has traveled all over the world and he has answered, he has attended many seminars and conferences and QA sessions. What is holistic inner science? There are two aspects of science, material science or the outer science, which is also termed as physical science. It is a science of ever-changing things or relative things that is full of activities. Just like, we get happiness, we get unhappiness. It happens based on our wishes. It does not happen due to our wishes. Another aspect of science is the inner science, which is of the pure soul, which is real, unchanging, and with knowledge function only. It is called the stepless science, which is expounded by Sri A.M. Patel. This is what is happening inside, how to handle the situations. It is a science of the relative and the world. And it is how Prakriti and pure science connected in our daily life to solve everyday puzzles. Like, what is this world? How is it function? How are we all controlled? Laws of karma, etc. And on the spiritual side, it talks about is the body I am, what is the meaning of I did, I am mine, etc. How does mind, intellect, reflective conscious, and ego works? Understanding and happening of the mind, fullness, amicable solutions, etc. And very importantly, how to be happy in all situations. And finally, is there a way to liberation? Welcome, Deepakanandji.
Welcome you all, and thank you, Mr. Patel, for introducing me, giving me this wonderful opportunity of sharing my experience of holistic inner science. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now, before I introduce today's topic, we had homework to observe our body activities in the context of our mind thoughts. So if anybody has a comment on that? I have some comment, Deepakanandji. Oh, Kirtiman, we'll go first with you. Go ahead.
Okay. What I want to share from last few years, I was watching myself. I was deciding that I want to progress further to understand this science a little bit further. What are my obstacles? What do I need to do? So that's what my desire was, and still now. So I said, okay, let me find out how should I do it. So in the morning, tell myself every morning, want to be aware in my daily activity, how my connection with my heart and my thoughts and my action. And with that, say less for the food. I want to consume food that keep me, focus, also lift me up in my spiritual awareness. I want to progress further. That's what my firm decision. And I heard previously that once you decide, you really decide it happens. And I said, okay. And that's what I was telling myself. And it really helped me. Sanjog, the events came in front of me. I was looking for substitute to find the food, like instead of potato, onions, what will be better for me. Uh, so here at the restaurant, I ordered the food. It's called Thai curry, and had a very unique vegetables in it. The I asked the chef, "What is that food? What is that chunky, um, uh, the substance in there?" And he says called Japanese squash. It's called kabocha. And I said, "That's the first time I heard about it." So anyway, very tasty food and pure vegetarian. And after that, I wanted to apply that food in my cooking. So that way also helped me stay aware, because that's what I want to apply in my life. So anyway, and after that, I'm using that, also watching myself, my thoughts. I wanted to see positively in others, and also how my heart connected when I say something to others, and also my daily activity, how my connections are. This is what I'm feeling lately, and last, at least from 2016,
Thank you very
15.
much.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Now, Deepakanandji, before we ask you for your comment, I'll give my thoughts. I've been watching my thoughts, and my conclusion is that all thoughts that arise from anger, pride, attachments, and greed only. And when I'm aware of those, then you are held back, in not getting into that thoughts, or you want the thought to pass around. So this is my small observation uh, for the last 2 weeks. Deepakanandji?
Right. So even I have noticed that several times during my interaction with others, I get weird thoughts and mostly negative about people and things I come across, and especially with close relations, uh, which eventually result in verbal wrangle or hurtful behavior. I also realized from holistic inner science that when I ask for forgiveness for these mistakes and resolve not to commit them again, gradually my mind, speech, and behavior improved, and my relations also improved. Uh, I mean, it was a drastic improvement. I became more adjustable, caring, and loving, which gave me a lot of inner peace, happiness, and cordial coexistence. Further, I also realized, and I want to share that holistic inner science has said that asking for forgiveness frees our mind from all those negative thoughts, and resolving not to commit them again stops our very inclination and desire to do and behave negatively or hurtful way. So such resolutions and the resulting mindfulness naturally help us cleanse ourselves, at the same time improve our relations as well. So this is how I clear my karmic effects and avoid, or rather stop causing new karmas, and thus the suffering, and it gives me happiness, inner peace, and freedom.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that, Deepakanandji. Now, I will introduce today's subject. Now, today we are moving up from understanding our body self to everyday life science, what we call Vyavar Vignan, and looking at our interactions in everyday life. So our topic today is understanding amicable solutions. What does it mean? And in other words, Sambhave Nikal. We normally resolve things based on our own thoughts and what intellect says. I think we always resolve interactions amicably to our satisfaction, but it may not be satisfaction to the other people. Is it the right way, or is there some better way, or what does holistic inner science say? So what is really holistic inner science says about amicable, magnanimous resolution of interactions? Uh, how does mindfulness apply in this kind of situation? Is silence the right approach? Then inner suffering comes into picture. So this is all little bit all the questions that arise from today's topic, Deepakanandji.
Right. Let us first try to analyze our normal, mundane, worldly living, that is, ignorant living without knowledge or without self realization or without holistic inner science understanding. We will first try to recap our body's health functioning. We have seen in the previous talk how our body's health works in a parliamentary way. That is, primarily five senses capture information from inside and outside our body. This triggers and initiates our mind with fountains of thoughts. These thoughts are karmic effects based on previous karmic causes of likes and dislikes. Mind is considered as home department and is the center point of our life, living and existence. Reflective consciousness is the foreign department. It pictures information in connection with these thoughts, and it also makes us feel the karmic suffering of likes, that is happiness, and dislikes, that is sorrow. Intellect is our prime minister, the indirect light of pure soul through the wheels or window of egoism. It evaluates profit and loss and makes decision in every situation, which is again as per karmic effects only. Ego is the president. Without its own light, it simply follows intellect decision and endorses every action at the body level. It also becomes sufferer ignorantly and claims doership on self or others for things that actually happen as per karmic effects only, which is all natural. It is called prakrutik. Uh, Now, Mr. Patel, as you have very well said while introducing this topic, the question that came up in your mind, we normally resolve to do things based on our thoughts and intellect. Well, that being the karmic effects, it makes us do that way only to follow our thoughts and intellect. But that usually makes us suffer and make others also suffer, that we all very well experience. That being the effect of our likes and dislikes. So, this being karmic effect, we end up doing things as per our thoughts and intellect only. Further, you said, I think I always resolve interaction amicably to my satisfaction, that makes me happy, but it makes others unhappy. Can we call this as amicable resolution? Now, as we have seen, amicable resolution is supposed to pacify me and others both at the same time. But when I am happy and others are unhappy, my decision is quite selfish, and that too, when others are hurt by me, finally it is going to reflect back on me, which I surely don't want. So that is definitely not amicable, magnanimous resolution. Then you said, what am I really missing? What is the holistic inner science meaning of uh, amicable settlement, Sambhave Nikal? Well, Sambhave Nikal will always make both the parties happy and fully satisfied with no claims on either side. That is the reason it is called magnanimous resolution of holistic living. That is most generous resolution or decision we may take for our all around happiness. Now, living without holistic inner science, understanding, ultimately it ends up in projecting doership that creates new karmic causes due to which one would be born again and will have to pass through wild karmic suffering. Now, with such lurking ignorance, one remains indefinitely in the vicious cycle of birth and death and in the four life forms. So, living without the understanding of holistic inner science cannot bring us out of the vicious cycle of birth and death. Further, in today's chaotic time of Kali Yuga, as holistic inner science has very gracefully revealed that there is no unity among our mind, speech, and body. It means that what we think we are unable to speak, and what we speak we are unable to do. However, we may try and desperately want to say or do things as we think and decide, but to our great disappointment, we are unable to achieve that because of this lack of unity. Now, in such a tragic situation, through any religious practice or through any other following or teachings, even if you decide firmly to do anything, you will definitely fail to achieve any positive results in many situations, which will only bring disappointments. On the other hand, people are able to behave nicely and cunningly deal to their advantage using their sharp intellect, which we observe, we come across also. This eventually hurt the other people when he knows the truth. And since you have hurt others, it is going to come back to you as per the law of nature. What goes around comes around. But people do this willingly, saying, who has seen tomorrow? Let us enjoy today. And when that tomorrow becomes today, and they end up suffering dangerously, uh, they end up causing wild karmas again, which can even make them lose human form for a long time. The rule is, if you hurt yourself internally, then you are born in animal. But if you hurt others, then you are born in hell. Uh, I believe nobody would like to happen in their life. So, as a word of caution, here holistic inner science says today people are living mostly with inner worries, hurting themselves, or are living hurting others. This is going to make them lose human form and take them to animal or hell, respectively. In today's scenario, this type of irresponsible living contributes to a great percentage. The only answer is understand the holistic inner science, which would make your life happy, peaceful, and free. Now, this is the mundane living scenario. Now, let us analyze living with holistic inner science understanding of Sambhave Nikal. That is living with wisdom, compassion, love, and oneness. Uh, Sambhave Nikal, that is amicable settlement, to settle life situations with equanimity, uh, that is, situations would come like selfishness, likes and dislike, which are karmic effects of past ignorant causes. Uh, but amicable settlement, that is Sambhavanikal, will finally make the karmic balance zero and you will attain total freedom of nirvana. In this, you have asked that how would mindfulness play or be helpful in the situation. You see, when you have decided to handle amicably, naturally it is going to make you mindful about every spoken word and every bit of action you do, and rather every thought that comes in your mind. And every time your mind, speech, or body hurt you or others, it will caution you and you will obviously correct them through forgiveness and further resolve to handle amicably. So this decision to handle amicably itself makes you mindful, and the corrective process follows naturally. You also asked if silence is the right approach, that is, not to say any word. And you also say that such silence at times makes you suffer from inside. No, this is not the right solution, but when in situations you are disturbed from inside, with your blown up ego, and for Sambhave Nikal, in such situation, you better remain silent and don't speak even a word. At the same time, internally resolve to handle amicably. Because with your inner disturbance, whatever you may try to do, it is going to blow up the situation. So by doing this, you have avoided committing single fault of egoistic speaking. Yes, it is accepted that during such moments your inner suffer do come into play. But then you have to understand that you have to pacify that inside through holistic inner science. That is, the matter remains within you. But when you speak in such moments of your inner disturbed state, it is going to create a lot of trouble outside. So if you speak over here, then it will harm both the parties. So to avoid bigger loss, we get away with smaller loss and we remain silent. So although that inner disturbance come, but with the understanding of holistic inner science, we will pacify ourselves. Now, in certain situations when principles are getting compromised, and in those situations, Sambhave Nikal, amicable settlement, truly demands you to come forward and speak up to avoid the grave mistake of committing double fault of not speaking. Apparently, this may hurt both the parties initially, but because your intentions are clear and firm for the goodness of one and all and for the protection of the principle, it will finally end up benefiting both the parties. Then you have asked, why do I have to give up all the time? Here again, if you want to be happy, peaceful, and free, you will have to learn to give up. Actually, it is not just giving up. In certain situations, Sambhave Nikal, amicable settlement, demands you to give up because if you insist and hold back, then that will cause more harm and trouble. After all, everything in this mundane world is temporary and perishable. Even the best of the things is not going to last forever. So, better wisely learn to give up all temporary things for your real happiness and peace, and finally, freedom from the vicious cycle of birth and death. So, giving up is not, you will not be a loser. Finally, you are going to gain and achieve that real happiness and peace, and finally, that freedom also. Finally, you have asked, how do I know whether I have done some Nikal or so? That is, whether I have handled the situation amicably. As it is very well defined, Sambhave Nikal, amicable settlement, means to deal in such a way so as to free you from every kind of selfishness, anger, pride, possessiveness, greed, likes and dislikes, making you perfectly normal, pure, and natural. The wonderful part over here is today, even if you make a firm and strong decision and resolve to do settle, that is Sambhava Nikal, in every situation, we already know based on the revelation of holistic inner science that because of the lack of unity among our mind, speech, and body, today practically you are unable to handle amicably. So inadvertently, mm, we end up hurting others because our dealing is not amicable and balanced. But as suggested by holistic inner science, here we must ask for forgiveness and ask again to resolve to handle situation amicably, come what may. Eventually, we will be able to handle and settle amicably every situation which would make us experience inner peace, happiness, and ultimately free us from the vicious cycle of birth and death. So, as we have known, in every situation, karmic effect of the past causes. Situation is karmic effects only, which will definitely end up in suffering of happiness or sorrow. In such moments, I am likely to react, but proactively with the right understanding of holistic inner science, I resolve to do Sambhave Nikal and handle amicably the forthcoming situation. Now, because of the present times of Kali Yuga, somehow I will fail to handle amicably and I will get upset and irritated and also end up hurting others.
True.
But I had resolved to handle amicably, proactively. So this will pinch me hard inside and make me feel sorry. I would immediately ask for forgiveness and again firmly resolve, no matter what, I want to do some Bhavanika. Every time I resolve and I fail, it is going to bite me harder inside and make me resolve more strongly and firmly to do some Bhavanika. Now, whatever I decide persistently, that is definitely going to happen sooner or later. And that's how holistic inner science is the science of life and living. That is Vyavar Vignan that would ultimately make us handle all situations amicably, that is, do Sambhava Nikal of every situation, making us happy and peaceful with total freedom from suffering here and now. Eventually, Sambhava Nikal will free us from the vicious cycle of birth and death to attain nirvana. Now, in this regard, holistic inner science is truly spirituality as it is, with Sambhava Nikal as its magnanimous resolution, leading us to normality and finally attain nirvana. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you for this introduction of this. There's a lot of things that goes on everyday life.
Yes.
So, I mean, I have two questions before I turn it over to the audience. First thing, you said in today's time, we have lack of unity of mind, speech, and body. Is it possible to get that unity in this era?
That that's true. It is the result of the Kali Yuga time, but you can firmly decide inside, persistently keep deciding inside that no matter what, I want to handle the situation amicably. So from inside, you are resolving firmly at the same time wherever you are failing to achieve that amicable settlement outside, you are uh, feeling sorry, you are asking for forgiveness and further resolving again. So for all your failures, because of the lack of unity outside, you are feeling sorry inside, you are correcting inside. And again, resolving no matter what, I want to handle amicably. I want to do Sambhavinika. So, in a causal form, you are projecting that unity. In the effect, it is not there. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes.
For all your failures, you ask for forgiveness, you correct your mistake, and again resolve. And that's how gradually you will achieve that.
True.
If not now, in future, you will definitely, because you are persistent on your decision, on your resolution.
True, true. We understand that once you make resolution, they are like everyday prayers, and the prayers we know will fructify as time goes on.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The other question is, I have a set belief. I came with a set belief, and the set beliefs is the one which does not allow me to do this amicably. So so how is that we can resolve it when appropriate time comes?
Okay. Oh, I mean, what I mean, uh, with no ifs and buts, and with no preconceived ideas or prejudice. We must stick on to an unconditional yet strong and firm resolution of Sambhave Nikal, only amicable settlement. This will lead us to become one relatively with all living beings and make us attain absolute knowledge. That is, although our beliefs are there, but we don't get driven away by those beliefs, and unconditionally from inside we firmly decide and resolve to do Sambhavanikal, to settle every situation amicably. And this will eventually make us one relatively in the worldly life with all relations, with all living beings, attain total knowledge, making us perfectly normal and natural, and finally would free us from all karmas, making us zero relatively to emerge as the real one and attain nirvana.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Yeah. That makes sense. Now, one more question, practical question before we go to the audience. Now, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they start accusing me, start bad mouthing me. Obviously, my reaction would be anger. Why is it they doing this? I did nothing. And how do you resolve that amicably when you've done nothing wrong?
See, one thing, when we talk about amicable settlement, we we want the results outside. Yes, we all want the results outside. But in the present day scenario, you may not be able to achieve the results today. But in a causal form, with a firm decision inside and with your inner resolution and with correction for everywhere you have failed outside, it is eventually your decision that is going to reflect and give you the result. So don't get driven away by your failures outside, your mistakes outside. What does that mean? That you haven't decided for those things. That's why you are failing today. So, for that, you start today by making a firm resolution, whatever you want. And for all your failures, ask for forgiveness. And that will eventually make you succeed, whatever you want to achieve. That's why decision plays a very vital role in our life. In fact, what remains is with the holistic inner science understanding, we keep resolving whatever we want very firmly, and every time and everywhere we fail to achieve that, we ask for forgiveness and again resolve so that you are persistently making your decision for whatever you want and especially for amicable settlement.
Yeah, but somebody accuses me and I won't be calm. But then I cannot be calm because he's accused me for I've done nothing.
That doesn't matter. You may get irritated outside, you may get irritated inside, but what is there in your hands, which holistic inner science suggests, make use of that. Feel sorry for all your mistakes, all your failures, because no one achieves full 10 overnight, although no one has earned a gold medal overnight. They have faced failures, and these failures gradually make you perfect. Every time you fail, you are going one step further. So don't get carried away by your failure. But inside, you start, keep working and keep resolving. Come what may, I want to do it. And that's how it will change because every time you fail, it is going to pinch you harder inside, bite you harder inside. And this is going to make you decide strongly outside. I mean, inside, you will firmly decide that no, come on, I want to achieve that. And that's how gradually you will overcome the mistakes because every time you commit the mistake, you are learning. You are really learning where you've
True.
gone wrong. And that's how you overcome one by one. And finally, that 10, the full 10 is going to come.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now
Yeah.
we'll open up questions. Tuptaban, you have a question?
Yeah, what Rajani Bhai was saying, I was in the same situation. I was having a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden, they started accusing me or saying things, about these things. And what I did was, first of all, I was totally shocked, when they started saying things to me, and I just looked at them, and I just did not reply. I did not. I said, I thought in myself, कि मेरा ही आया है, I must have done in the past. And I was totally quiet. And that other person, kept saying things, whatever they wanted to say. And I was completely silent and okay. And then, I ended the situation in, okay, that's okay, if that's how you feel, it's okay. And then I thought about it, that must be something, कि Vyavasthit Shakti has sent this. That's how I took it. And I resolved it, and I prayed, that after Pratikraman I did. It was my thing that happened. And I had to hear this. And I asked for forgiveness from his Shuddhatma. Forgive me if I have done whatever, And I just took it. That's how I was in the same situation. So doing Pratikraman is okay then. And,
That's what, wherever we fail to perform as per our resolution, holistic inner science suggests us to ask for forgiveness and resolve again firmly that no, although I
right.
have failed, I'm sorry for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I decide that no, I want to handle this amicably. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how eventually you will succeed with full 100% result.
Mm,
But it's a
right.
process, it's a journey.
Yeah. But I didn't have any ill feelings. I never felt anything bad or anything. And even now, after that also, I talk to the person as if nothing happened. I said,
That's what, when we ask for forgiveness, our mind gets cleared from
right.
that effect. And when we decide and resolve not to commit those mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we will not have any inclination or desire to commit those mistakes again. So that's how it frees us totally from our being, and we will become perfect. That is normal.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tuptaban.
Thank you.
Okay, Shailaban.
Yeah. So, Deepakanandji, when you say that you make a resolution to settle amicably and you do learn from your mistakes every time you do it, my, my thought is, well, I'm already 70 now. So how long do I have now? Yes, I keep making that resolution, but again, I go back and yes, maybe keep silent because my intentions were good. But is there time enough to attain that perfectness, that perfection rather, uh, in terms of, you say it will become zero, that your, so is there time enough?
See, one thing, we believe that our life is for these 60, 80, 100 years only. So don't look at those years. Nobody knows how much time anyone have. But you stick on to your resolution and keep correcting your mistakes. Because it's an ongoing process. It's a journey. And our journey doesn't stop here. It's an ongoing process. Do you understand? It's like, if you are have slept and maybe you are in coma and you wake up somewhere else. So death is like that. So don't get worried about that. Or what you are living inside as I am is more important. Do you understand?
Yeah, but you did say that if the intentions are good and if the other person or other persons do not understand your good intentions, so I will be, does that make me suffer less eventually if my intentions were good?
Yes, yes. Because see, you can't change the perception of the other person. You cannot change. No one can change. But when your intentions are clear, you don't try to go and justify what you did was right. That much patience you have to develop and pacify yourself that, okay, that's fine. And at that time, if you show yourself very happy and cheerful, they feel hurt, more hurt, that even after committing mistake, how can you be cheerful? So show up like this. That's all. It's not, you're not cheating anyone, but internally you are correcting yourself and resolving not to commit that mistake again. So gradually it will work. You
But
understand?
in the process, I'm hurting the other person. So
That's okay. It was like that was destined because that was already committed, that loss was already committed, and this you had to incur, but now you are not supporting that decision and you are feeling sorry for that mistake also. So then it's like when your case opens in the nature, oh, Shaila did this, that. No, but she never intended to do. And for all her failures, also she repented, she felt sorry, heartily she felt sorry, and further she resolved that no, come what may, no matter what, I want to handle amicably. I don't want to hurt anyone. So now there is no claim on your side at all. You understand? But if you fail to resolve, if you fail to correct yourself, that is where we come into what do you say, trouble. After doing all corrections and resolving for amicable settlement, whatever happens, you're not responsible. Because for whatever happens, you get the suffering there and then itself. You understand? For all your mistakes, you get the result, you get paid, or rather, you get the effect of that failure. But to avoid any future mistake and future suffering, that is where you correct yourself and resolve not to commit them again. You understand?
yeah,
Yeah,
thank, thank you.
yeah, welcome.
Anybody else has question? Follow Vinod Bhai.
So, two things. One is I want to make an observation. You were talking about the homework earlier. So, I was just observing, and from your previous talks, that anything that happens before it happens outside, it has to happen inside, and I have to endorse it that yes, this thing should happen. So, otherwise, it does not happen outside. So, whenever things are happening, observing the mind, in my limited observation, what I have seen is that basically underlying everything, there is a certain likes and dislikes which is driving uh, everything that is coming out. And when you observe the likes and dislikes, if you make a resolution that now I do not want to be in this like or in this dislike. So is that a correct approach? Is that a basic, more fundamental level of correction?
Right. For all your failures, when you feel sorry, correct yourself, and resolve not to commit that mistake again, that's perfectly right. And you are again resolving. See, you are resolving based on your understanding and wisdom today, but that you have not got with you from the past. So you are going to behave and deal based on your previous likes and dislikes only, because they are not surfacing unless you come across any situation. So your resolution is definitely working from inside, but outside, every time you commit that mistake, you will naturally become mindful and you will correct them. That is where this resolution is working. And that is where it is important to resolve. Unless, it's like if you haven't resolved to handle amicably, however you may try, you may do things, you will not get affected or you will not feel hurt also. So what? If someone gets hurt, they get hurt. You may also say that it is their destiny, what can I do? You understand?
Right.
So this decision, this resolution itself makes us mindful about our mistakes, and that's how it makes us correct our mistake, and further makes us resolve more firmly that, okay, I have failed over here, but no, I don't want to fail, and I resolve again. Come what may, I want to handle amicably.
Right. So, a particular situation, for example, in matters of eating, for example, there is a preference towards, say, a sweet taste. And so I thought I'm to just observe when that feeling arises that I need to eat something sweet. So, and I resolved that, I should not have this, I do not want to gain pleasure out of the sweet taste. So it lasts for a little while, but then ultimately it becomes so strong that you cannot remain in that. And then you get that sweet. And during that time, that resolution is not there, and that you're asking for strength to be the observer and to be able to observe, and that you quit asking for that strength and you just give in. So I can't understand why that happens and what to do during that time.
See, what I understand, you have a pipe, hose pipe, water pipe,
Right.
and the water is with force inside.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't hold the pipe, then the force inside is going to spray the water outside. You understand? So resolution works in that manner. That force is there inside, but if you lack that awareness, or you slightly are not aware of that, then it's going to play its part. So you have to remain consistently aware and mindful about that, and that's how you will be able to channelize that and have a good control naturally. So
But
resolution is such, it has to remain in our mind all the time. We
so how
cannot.
do we strengthen it? When that force comes, that resolution just goes away.
So it's like the force is stronger than your resolution. So
Right.
it tells you that you have to firmly and strongly, further strongly and firmly decide and resolve. So that's how gradually, it's like against that inner force you have to resolve. You feel that, okay, this much is okay, but no, you failed. So you understand that this is not the right force with which I am resolving, with that firmness. So you further increase your firmness. And gradually, that inside material is reducing gradually. That inner force is gradually reducing. But until that force is there, you will have to stand strongly against that force through your resolution. And that tells you, every time you fail, that tells you that your resolution is not that strong. So you have to keep correcting inside and make your resolution still stronger and firmer.
Because
But don't
ultimately,
get carried away by your failures.
all the force is going to die away. So
Right. What does it mean? If you don't ask for forgiveness, the very cause, the very opinion about that matter will not get eliminated. You have decided that I will do this or I will not do this. That's what make you do things or don't do things. You understand? You have opinion, at the same time you have made a decision also about that. So the opinion will get eliminated through forgiveness, and that decision not to commit or repeat that mistake will remove that inclination and desire from your being to do or commit or not to do that thing. Did you understand? one thing is your mind and second thing is your decision. Your mind has that opinion. It's like there are people who don't like sweets, they don't eat sweets at all. They don't choose or they don't prefer eating sweets because they don't have that opinion in their mind. And you have that opinion in your mind. You understand? So to clear that opinion from your mind, you have to ask for forgiveness. And you resolve not to eat or eat in a balanced way. Sweet is not bad if you eat in a balanced way, but if you overeat, then where it creates problem, right?
I think we might have lost him.
Yeah, it looks like got
Yeah, okay.
disconnected.
We'll go to
There he comes again.
Sarila Ben had a question then before.
नहीं Deepakanandji, आपने you said earlier कि one of the options for us when there is confrontation or when you feel that people are wrongly accusing you is to keep silent. And so I just looked at what the tomorrow's thought is from the calendar. So it says जगत की मार तमाचे खाएगा इसी में स्वाद है, आत्मा का स्वाद इसी में ही है, देने में या मारने में स्वाद नहीं है, देने से नया हिसाब खड़ा हो जाता है. So being silent and taking the blame then is better than, even though your intentions are good, to remain silent and not to make it clear so that you are taking it rather than giving it.
That's true, but it is like nothing comes from nothing. If something is happening, no one is free to even hurt you or help you. There is a reason. The cause is within you that makes the other person act. And when that is not there, then this problem will not arise at all. Because those causes are there inside, we come across people who deliver those things to us. It is our intent. You understand?
Yeah.
That's why it's like you cannot stop the other person. But with your right inner understanding, you will remain unaffected. And understand that, oh, to free me from my mistake, this person is taking the burden on his head, so I should not commit that mistake and I feel sorry for that. That's how you clear your mistakes from inside. Because those causes are there inside, outside someone has to become a delivery person. But by just becoming a delivery person, they're taking the burden of your mistake over their head. You understand? To relieve you from that mistake. So when we feel sorry for that, then we clear ourselves. So for us, nobody will have to become an instrument or a delivery person. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Thank you.
Well,
Kirti Ben?
Just he mentioned like in the food situation that if you have a liking for certain food, what do you mean by ask for forgiveness? Just try to understand that.
the reason is when you're overeating any taste, it is going to have its negative effect.
Right. So how
So
do
everything is needed in normality.
Okay.
So you feel sorry for overeating that particular taste and decide that I want to take all the sick tastes in balance.
Okay.
That
But in balance. Okay. So that way I can.
it will change, yeah. It's all, everything is here. Those opinions make us do things. And when that opinion is not there, along with that opinion, we have opinion, but we have no desire or inclination. Then that just keeps coming inside and it will die out there. But wherever there are inclination, it will get resulted out. It will happen outside. That is where it is dangerous. If it is just thought, it will come and it will go inside.
So when I get choosy to choose what I want to use for consume my for awareness, am I become too much toward that particular thing that give up, like no eating certain food, and like I'm become very rigid in that?
It's not just called rigid. you are rigid, like what happened yesterday itself. We had to go in a marriage occasion, and there was nothing I could eat. So I had my adjustment. I avoid taking wheat and the other stuff. So I said, okay, give me this, and I made an adjustment, right? So that's how, with adjustment, you can get away and settle things amicably without hurting anyone.
Got it. Very-
Yeah.
Because that's what happened so many times. And
Yes,
one
and
this
why do you come across this situation, that we have to realize? We come across those situations because those causes are inside. So you correct from inside and feel sorry for those things outside. Because although you know that that thing is not good for you, even medically or ethically, but why did you come across that?
Mhm.
Right. So then it will stop eventually.
Because sometimes at certain place, they make it with such a much thoughtfulness, since you are going to their place, and I don't want to hurt their feeling, but I will accept that something. How do I handle that then?
Very simple. You have to pacify them, please them. Just take little. They don't tell you to take the whole bunch of it.
Okay.
But if you say, no, I don't eat it all and all that stuff, that's
No.
going to hurt their feelings. So you take little. And then, no, take more. You take another piece. That's it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Vinod bhai, we lost you, so I don't know. Go ahead and unmute. I cannot unmute you.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my internet connection for a minute. So I was asking, you were just now mentioning that, whenever something happens outside, the cause is always inside. Can the inside cause always be observed, or sometimes you cannot observe it?
It's only you come to know when things happen outside.
Right. Say, for example,
That
somebody
is
says
that.
something from outside. Somebody
Come again?
says something from outside, accusation from outside. Say, for example, Triptaben was saying earlier, somewhere totally unrelated, you go and there's an accusation where there is no connection and you have not done anything like that. So how do you know what is the cause in that situation?
See, one thing, from the effect, in the sense, it hurts us. Our ego gets pinched. We end up suffering. That itself shows that there is some mistake on our part. Sufferer is at fault.
So the way I understand that in that situation is that the fault is that I have that ego, or that I have that quality of pride in me, and that is why I'm getting hurt.
Not only that, actually that ego problem is different.
Mm-hmm.
That ego problem is because you feel you suffered.
Right.
I suffered because of you. So actually, it's like, if you say that you are having headache, then am I getting affected? But when you say, that is, Vinod says, my head is aching, then it affects you. But when you say my head is aching, I know that Vinod's head is aching, not my head. Because it is your head. In the same way, I just come to know that your head is aching. In the same way, you come to know Vinod's head is aching. You understand that? That ego of suffering. You understand?
Right.
You feel you are suffering. You are the sufferer. But no, you come to know the suffering of Vinod. So in that situation, you have to be with Vinod. If you take the burden of Vinod suffering on your head by saying, I am having headache, because you're not saying my head is aching, you're saying I am having headache. So when you say, I am having headache, you have to understand that Vinod is having headache. Understand? Our speech is expression of our ego. So we have to identify, recognize, and fix that ego. Then it will not affect you. So you can practice by saying every time you say, I went to hospital, you say Vinod went to hospital. I came home and ate, did workout. So you say Vinod came home and did workout. So with that separation, that ego will gradually get pacified, will cool down, and it will not affect you. And you will be able to see the way you see activities of Vinod, you will be able to see thoughts of Vinod, speech, words of Vinod. At the same time, finally, you will see ego of Vinod also. But that will be seen through words, expression of words only. Inside word or outside words. Spoken words or inside words. Did you understand?
Right.
It's a process and it's very intricate and it's very subtle.
Right. So basically, when you observe that, you find that, Vinod gets hurt, somebody says something, Vinod gets hurt. You may not recognize it immediately, but when you look back, then first you see that Vinod got hurt, but secondly, you also realize that the quality of pride is there in Vinod, and because of that, Vinod got hurt. So then there is to be...
But that pride is not mine.
Right, right. But then, if that awareness is not there at the moment, then you have to have correction for both, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. We are in the process, learning. We are learning in the process. So it is our journey. We have not reached that perfection. So until we reach that stage, this process of back and forth will be there.
Right.
So that's one.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Now I'll wrap it up, and in the meantime, Deepakanandji, you can think about our homework. We started out. You started out saying that most of us live in ignorant living, which are the effects of karmic, and we claim doership for all our doings, and we do not reflect what I am doing, and there's no unity of mind, speech, and body. So that is the normal living. And from the holistic viewpoint, with a correct, good understanding, how things happen, what happens, and we can amicably resolve things, and then eventually we will come up with wisdom, compassion, and love. So with that, if you want to give us homework, any parting words?
Yes. We want to observe every situation of our life as outcome of our likes and dislikes only. Every situation what we come across is result of our likes and dislikes only. And to come out of that likes and dislikes, because that is going to make us suffer. You feel good or you feel bad. And that you cannot escape. No one can escape. But you don't become sufferer of that suffering. At the same time, through your inner awareness, you decide to amicably settle, in the sense you don't get carried away by the ownership of that suffering, and be observer. And you will gradually observe the liking and disliking part of the suffering, that is karmic result. Did you understand?
I think so.
So first, observe every situation as effect of likes and dislikes. Wherever dislike is working, you will feel bad. Wherever liking part is working, you feel good. And you will say, I liked. You will say, I didn't like. I felt good. I felt bad. But when you say, I, say your name. then it will be a good observation. And here we want to amicably settle. That amicable settlement is of the false ownership and the resultant projected doership. If you don't understand that ownership, then you will end up projecting doership, because you're going to feel that suffering and you will blame the person who becomes party to your suffering, and you will have all weird feelings for that person, right?
Yep.
It's a complicated one, but it is really a good one.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you very much, Deepakanandji. Thanks a lot for coming out of your busy schedule and talking to us, and all the participants. Thank you very much for taking time, and there were very good, excellent questions which we can ponder about, and then also start pondering about the homework. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patel, all our participants for their active participation. And thank you for giving me this great opportunity of sharing my experience. Thanks a lot.